This is my review of Blink of an Eye, the 6th season episode of Star Trek Voyager. Investigating a bizarre planet where time passes rapidly, Voyager becomes trapped in orbit, its constant presence having a profound impact on the population's culture. I love Blink of an Eye for a few reasons. It's got a killer high concept premise, this strange world whose civilization we literally watch develop within a single episode. I've also always been fascinated with time, in particular the insignificance of a single moment in the grand scheme of the universe. So for me, this episode is basically crack, a completely addictive episode that's usually one of the first I go to whenever I fancy a casual Voyager rewatch. I'm also extremely nostalgic for it. The episode actually premiered on my 10th birthday, a milestone birthday for any kid. And here we are now, some 25 years later. Where has the time gone? This is a superb episode, one of the show's finest hours, and a real testament to just how great Voyager could be when firing on all cylinders. I know Voyager has this reputation for being a lesser Trek series in the eyes of some, the first real sign that Trek under Rick Berman was starting to fizzle out. It was getting stale, and maybe, just maybe, they were starting to run out of ideas. And to an extent, I kind of agree. Like I said, I do get very nostalgic about it, but it's far from my favourite show, with a lot of episodes that are just fine, a lot of ideas that feel like rehashes of older TNG episodes, or just old scripts that never made the cut on that show. But Blink of an Eye is not one of those episodes. This is an hour of television that perfectly captures the spirit of what made Trek so special in the first place. Strange New World? Check. Cool sci-fi stuff? Check. A story that can work well on its own, but can also serve as a mirror to our own society? Check. From its opening shots, you know this is going to be a good episode. Voyager discovers this planet with an unusual composition and shape before getting caught in a gravitational eddy, hovering in the sky like a new star, and immediately making an impact with the planet's natives, who at this point are in a very early stage of development. Star Trek has dabbled with time, lots of times, but these have mostly been time travel stories or loops or zones. The concept of time moving differently has been done before, but only a couple of times to my knowledge. The most obvious off the top of my head is TOS's Wink of an Eye, where hyper-accelerated aliens attempt to take over the ship and use the crew as breeding stock. TOS was wild. This for me is the best of Trek's non-time travel time episodes. The time differential on the planet gives us the unique ability to watch a civilization grow from primitive beginnings right through to a world that appears to be more technologically advanced than Voyager, all in the span of a single episode. I love that the driving force of the story is the simple fact of Voyager's existence. Trek has had a lot of fun over the years, showing how a simple act or mistake can have massive consequences for pre-warp alien civilizations. Reed accidentally leaving tech on a primitive world in Enterprise's 2nd season episode, The Communicator, or the appearance of the Enterprise at the start of Into Darkness, which, in the blink of an eye, see what I did there, has immediate and major implications for that planet's entire religious ideology. But this is arguably the ultimate exploration of that kind of profound influence. Trapped in orbit, a constant presence in the sky over countless centuries, Voyager's presence becomes a focal point for the natives' culture, eventually referred to as things like Lightgiver and later on Skyship. The ship inspires art, philosophy, scientific discovery, and technological innovation. So in this instance, the Prime Directive has become a bit of a grey area. How can you make first contact with people who have literally grown up in your shadow? I love the depiction of the planet as it develops through the ages. We don't get to see everything because, of course, we don't. It's an episode of TV with a limited budget, but we do see just enough to buy into the idea of this rapidly changing world. world. It works despite so much of the story being implied or spoken rather than actually seen, which is a rare example of this working to this kind of degree. What we do get is a locked off shot featuring a matte painting that acts as a visual constant, a backdrop that we can use as reference as these centuries of change unfold. The progression of this shot from an early, almost Renaissance-like civilization to a sleek, futuristic cityscape is, for me, one of the most satisfying aspects of the whole episode. Performance-wise, it's clear the entire cast is having a lot of fun with this one. Almost everyone gets something to do, and even Robert Beltran looks engaged as Chakotay gets excited over the prospect of studying the planet and its people. But the real MVP here, once again, is Robert Picardo's Doctor, who finds himself trapped on the planet for 3 years thanks to a transporter glitch. When he's finally retrieved, his joy at seeing the crew again really sells the time they've been apart, even though to the crew it's only been a couple of minutes. And then there's Katana Retz, one of the first of his kind to make contact with Voyager, played by Daniel Day Kim in a small but memorable role that's one of my favourite guest performances of the entire series. I love his scene with Janeway, his sense of wonder at finally solving the mystery of the skyship and fulfilling a dream not just of his, but also his entire people. The sense of achievement is perfectly captured in these small but quiet moments. But then there's the consequences. His mission to Voyager takes him far beyond his own lifespan, and by the time he returns to the surface, decades have passed, and everyone he's ever known and loved is likely gone. This reminds me of similar time dilution instances in sci-fi, the reunion with Romilly in the film Interstellar, and also Joe Haldeman's classic novel The Forever War. The episode does a good job balancing these big ideas with smaller, more character-driven moments, but I do wish it leaned a little harder into the fallout from the Doctor's years spent on the surface. He mentions loneliness, and there's this touching moment where he asks Katana Retz to look up his son, but the script misses the chance to explore his conflicted feelings, being happy to be back, but at the cost of leaving behind a life that he's built on the surface. Another small issue I have is the aliens speaking and writing in perfect English. This is usually an easy hand wave thanks to the universal translator, but here that doesn't apply because they're not interacting with Voyager at this point. I can forgive some of this, of course, a little suspension of disbelief isn't too hard here, but I do find the scribe writing a letter to Voyager in what is clearly English being something that pulls me out of the moment. Like, couldn't they have just invented some alien symbols for this? Or better yet, just don't show us the letter. But still, these are tiny quibbles in what is otherwise one of the show's most imaginative and thought-provoking hours. This is high-concept sci-fi done right. Star Trek using its format to explore the long-term consequences of contact, intentional or not, between vastly different cultures. More than anything, though, Blink of an Eye captures that sense of awe and adventure that made Star Trek stand out in the first place. A phenomenal episode of Star Trek. I'm giving Blink of an Eye a 9 out of 10, one of Voyager's best ever episodes, and a late-stage Berman-era classic. But what did you think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? How would you rate it? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more Star Trek reviews, and until next time, live long and prosper.